Hello, Chelsea fans in the USA. Welcome to another transfer news segment. If you're new here, please like this video, please subscribe, and let's get started. First news is Napoli have interest on Nicolas Jackson. When I see this news, when I see Italian clubs trying to buy Chelsea players, I just feel like a no-no because all they do is mostly give us low ball offers. They always low ball us to buy our players. Look at Christian Pulisic. Look at Loftus-Cheek. All these players went to AC Milan for almost to nothing. Very cheap prices. They went there for cheap. They're always coming to our players to get our players either on loan or almost very cheap prices. So this news is Napoli have asked about Nicolas Jackson, and what I'm hearing is that they're looking to inquire about a loan first with an option to buy or obligation to buy. I don't want that. I think Chelsea want the money outrightly. Chelsea are looking for 60 to 65 million to sell Nicolas Jackson. I don't think Chelsea are looking to to loan and then with an option to buy. Unless maybe it's at the end of the transfer window and we don't have any buyers, then we can look at this. But if you ask me, I don't like Italian clubs trying to get our players. They're always lowballing our players, always trying to not spend the money. But when the reverse is the case, when you're trying to buy from them, it's always very expensive. They sell their players for so expensive and they're very difficult to negotiate with. So this story for me, I don't like it and I don't want it to happen. I don't think Chelsea should consider this at all. I feel like we can get buyers from the German league and from the Premier League for Nicolas Jackson. So with that being said, let me know what you think about Napoli asking about Nicolas Jackson. What do you think? Do you think it's something that we should even consider or something we should look at? Or no. Just like I'm thinking, it's a no for me. But let me know what you think in the comment section below and tell me what you feel about it. So the next story is also about Nicolas Jackson, but this time around it's more like it. So Aston Villa are still interested in Nicolas Jackson. As you could see from Ben Jacobs, which posted in the Chelsea Dodgers page, he's saying that Aston Villa are still very much interested in Nicolas Jackson. And I know that this is kind of the plan for Chelsea to actually sell Nicolas Jackson to Aston Villa. I think it's just inevitable that he will go to Aston Villa because Chelsea have bought Morgan Rogers for £170 million. That is an outrageous money to spend. But Chelsea and Aston Villa tend to do some kind of business to balance the books financially. So I am not surprised if this story materializes and Nicolas Jackson actually heads to Aston Villa. As a matter of fact, I think it's inevitable. It will happen. But they're just waiting for the next year's financial year to start so that he can be accounted for in Chelsea's book in the next year transfer financial year. So we are still in this year's financial year. We are trying to account any sale for Nicolas Jackson in the next financial year so that we can record it for next financial year, because that will balance out the books for us buying Morgan Rogers in this financial year. And then, you kind of balance out the books like that. It's a little bit of PSRO kind of thing that Chelsea is trying to do with Aston Villa. And also, don't forget that Chelsea also sent Garnacho to Aston Villa too, with an option to buy at the end of this, at the end of the loan. So that's also something too. If you look at those two, we could be netting somewhere around 100 million for Nicolas Jackson and Garnacho in the next year's transfer window or next year financial year. So it just makes sense that Chelsea will be looking to try to sell him to Aston Villa. And it looks like we are looking at trying to make this deal happen at the end of the transfer. So last week of the transfer window. That is where, for me, I feel like this is a more like the deal. If Chelsea have to sell Nicolas Jackson, they should sell him to either Aston Villa. And I'm also hearing that Tottenham Hotspurs are also interested in signing Nicolas Jackson. I do not want Chelsea to sell Nicolas Jackson to Tottenham Hotspur. As a matter of fact, I don't want any Chelsea player to go to Tottenham Hotspurs. This is our rival. It's a London rival. We can't be strengthening them. We can't be sending our players to them. I don't want that. But he can go to Aston Villa. We have good relationship with Aston Villa. That makes sense. That really makes sense also for the player too. So remember that the Unai Emery, the coach of Aston Villa, used to coach Nicolas Jackson in Villarreal when he blew up in Villarreal before Chelsea signing over here. So Unai Emery coached him before, And then this is a golden opportunity for him to link up with Unai Emery, who really, really brought out his best skills and all of that in Aston Villa. So it's a good deal for Nicolas Jackson to actually even go to Aston Villa to link up with his former manager and play under Unai Emery again. So that's a no-brainer. It's a good deal for all three parties: Nicolas Jackson, Chelsea, and Aston Villa. So for me, I feel like going to Aston Villa is the best option for Nicolas Jackson for Chelsea too. And Aston Villa are likely to pay us the 65 million that we're asking for. So that's a no-brainer, and that's a good deal, and that will be a good transfer for Chelsea and Nicolas Jackson. Guys, let me know what you think about this story. Aston Villa still interested in Nicolas Jackson, and potentially he'll be going to Aston Villa. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. And quickly, let's talk about the next story here, which is Badiashile. It has arrived in Italy. I mentioned it yesterday in my other transfer news that Badiashile will be arriving today to do his medicals in Napoli. So he has arrived in Italy to complete his loan move with the option to buy. So let's wish him well. Let's wish Badiashile well. Let's wish him career with Napoli without injuries, and let's wish him that he plays well so that the option to buy can be triggered and he can officially join Napoli as their player. And that's the news for Badiashile. Let me know what you think about Badiashile to Napoli. And let's wrap up with the final story, which I actually left for the last one today. And this is coming from Fabrizio Romano. And he says that Manchester City are still discussing Enzo Fernández. They're still interested in Enzo Fernández, especially after the game that they played against Arsenal. The Arsenal demolished them and destroyed them. You could see the midfield wasn't existing. They had a midfield of Kovacic and Elliot Anderson. These two guys, Elliot Anderson had a good season, one good season in Nottingham Forest, and Manchester City bought him for £150 million off of one good season. And then they have Kovacic, which is slightly older and wasn't a starter for Manchester City previous season. They had these two midfielders playing there, and it wasn't working at all. These two midfields wasn't working. So you could see a situation where, especially when they sold Rodri, so they have money for Rodri. So you could see a situation where they're looking to reinvest that money they got from Rodri in Enzo Fernández and try to beef up that midfield. Enzo Fernández is very, very important to Chelsea. And you could see when Enzo Maresca was coaching Chelsea, he was a key guy to Enzo Maresca's midfield. He was very vital. So I can understand that Enzo Maresca wants to bring his boy over to Manchester City. But here's the but. Here's my take. If Manchester City are going to take Enzo Fernández from Chelsea, it is better they do it respectfully by doing it early so that Chelsea can have time to replace him. We're looking at names like Fabian Ruiz, Adam Wharton, and Alex Court. All of these players, if we take them out of their clubs, those clubs will need time to replace them. So therefore, we need time to get to negotiating table to talk to those clubs so we can buy them without putting stress on that club or putting stress on us and all of that. So Manchester City, if you're going to buy, if you're going to pay up right now so that we can use the money to invest in a different player as it may. So that's my take, that's my take. It's not like Enzo Fernández is irreplaceable. We can replace Enzo Fernández in Chelsea. That's my take, though. I know it's important, but we can replace him. He's replaceable, especially if he looks like he's not happy. You can sell him on. You don't want players that are not happy to be in your team. You can sell him on if he's not happy and then buy a player that more or less fits the system of the coach so that Alonso can work and get his team together and go on. So for me, I feel like if you guys are still discussing internally to get Enzo Fernández, Manchester City need to pay up really quickly. If this is delayed too long, I don't think Chelsea should sell him because we need time to replace him. That's my take. Guys, let me know your take in the comment section below about Enzo Fernández and every other news that I've mentioned to you today. I'll see you on my next video, which I'll be bringing you more Chelsea news and more Chelsea updates. See you guys. Have a nice evening. Peace.